So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to build self-esteem and self-confidence. And everything, your whole communication is based on how you feel about yourself and how confident you feel about yourself, and the amount of opportunities that you have in your life simply depends on the level of confidence and self-esteem you have. If you don't have self-esteem, you will not put yourself forward into those positions of leadership roles and taking on responsibility upon yourself and speaking in front of a group of people, which would be required as a part of your role. Any high performance role require this skill of doing public speaking, one-to-many communication. And we are going to be cutting to a video of me in 2019 where I could not even speak properly in front of a camera. And since that time, I have built and structured partnerships with some of the most high-profile executives in the whole country in UAE. And these executives have done billion-dollar deals. And these are high-profile lawyers that work in top law firms, high-profile accounting and financial professionals that have 25-30 years of experience working in $30-40 billion company, okay, the big four accounting firms they're known as, and top healthcare CEOs, okay. And my chairman, he was the CEO of a public company which was $3.5 billion. And I structured the partnership with them. I've negotiated with billion-dollar law firms that advise governments and large private equity firms. And I have also negotiated a $3.5 million deal, a $10 million deal, a $25 million deal, $120 million deal, $140 million deal. And the $120 and $140 million deal belonged to a multi-billion dollar healthcare company, okay. And I'm 29 years old. And I did this, and I've also presented $10 million transactions to banks, over 26 banks, and presented in front of 80 plus bankers in different settings. So that's a lot of presentations for someone my age, and especially the amount of stakes. When the stakes are high, you really get nervous. You really start sweating, you want to puke, and it's an experience that I have had where I wanted to puke in some of the meetings and my whole head was shaking because I didn't have the self-confidence and self-esteem and belief in my abilities. Okay, and I'm going to talk about what causes this, but before that, we are going to cut to that video of me 2019 where I could not even speak. And I want you to look at my eyes, my vocal projection, my body posture, my clothes, and am I able to speak clearly or not. I want you to assess the level of self-confidence I had, the identity I have, how I view myself. All of it is going to be viewed in that video. This is much before I started doing what I'm doing right now. In fact, it's just before I went to meet Dan Pena and the whole transformation happened, and I pushed myself, to do that, to have that transformation. So I want you to look at that video and let me know what you think about it also on the comment section. And after that, we're going to break down how to build self-esteem. And today we are going to talk about, do you feel being enslaved to your job? So last night I was speaking with my girlfriend, and she was, a little bit complaining about how her job is, the source of her suffering, how she has to wake up on a certain time, how she has to sit down in her car, get there on time, and she had some projects that she had to do, and she needs to get those get that project approved first, and they're gonna ask me. Okay, so to build self-esteem and self-confidence, it's important to understand the factors that affect these things and when the self-esteem and self-confidence is built. Okay, we come into this world innocent, we don't know how the world works, and we have to rely on our parents for advice, for suggestions, we cannot learn everything from first-hand experience. You know, you cannot always smash your head into things and learn. You have to rely on people who are elder than you, and you know, maybe it's an elder brother, maybe it's you know, parents, teachers, and these are our guardians. These are the people that we rely on, and these are our role models, and we completely have to copy them as they are. And you tell me, who would take a job of a school teacher in a school? I mean, there are few teachers who are really passionate about education, and I'm not talking about them, but the people who have been put in that position where they had to take that role of teaching kids, it's going to be someone who have had career insecurities. Maybe they wanted to become an astronaut, maybe they wanted to get into entrepreneurship, maybe they wanted to get into a senior executive role, but they gave up those aspirations and they decided to settle down to become a school teacher. You know, no offense to people who are school teachers, I'm just speaking what I think. And these school teachers have their own career insecurities, and they project this onto the kids. Similarly, it's possible, my mother, she made, enough money for us to grow up and survive, but she wasn't like a millionaire or anything. And she also dealt with a lot of financial uncertainties. And when you have this kind of an environment where your role models are not high performance individuals who have made millions of dollars, who have been around senior executives, who have been senior executives themselves, who have run billion-dollar companies, if you don't have those role models, especially when media was not present and there was that absence of role models, then you have to rely on these people as to defining what's possible and what's not. And more often than not, these individuals will put you down and they will criticize you, they will criticize your communication, and they will really control you, and they will stop you from opportunities because they themselves do not think those opportunities can even happen. I was never told by my environment that making millions of dollars at a young age is possible. I was never told that that could be the case. I was never told that traveling the world was possible, and building a business from wherever you are and building a business that spans the whole continent. I was never told that these things are possible. And I was always told what is not possible. I was always told to be practical, and I was always told to keep my mouth shut, listen and follow instructions. And I was put into positions where I had to do public speaking, and they would criticize my communication. They would criticize the things that I would write, right? Teachers, when you give your homework, they make all kinds of red marks. So when you want to speak, they shut you down, they punish you when you want to laugh, and when you write something, it's a piece of work that you created, instead of encouraging you, they criticize you and they make fun of you in front of everybody. What do you think is going to happen? And kids are laughing, and all of this affects self-esteem. So your environment, especially if you have been in an environment where people did not have flourishing careers, it's possible that they themselves had self-esteem issues, and they will and it all rubs off on the whole environment. And when it all rubs off and that whole environment operates in a very low self-esteem mode, then all of that rubs off on you as a child without any fault of your own. Okay, so environment is a big factor. If environment is like a soil and you are like a seed, you are a seed of potential, and your environment is like a soil. If that soil is very toxic and it is not fertile, then the seed will not grow to its full potential. If you want the seed to grow to its full potential, you have to take out that seed and plant it in an environment that's conducive for the growth to happen. And I remember when I was in Delhi, we used to have these fruits which were grown in the toxic waste water, and the fruit would taste like, like toxic chemical. So it's the same fruit, and versus if you go to a place like Europe where there is good farming, the whole fruit, the whole tomato, tastes different. And it's just the difference in the soil and the water. Just like that, an environment which is very toxic, which has a lot of these factors of people who have low self-esteem issues themselves, they project this onto your mind, and your eyes and your ears are doorway to the mind. So if your eyes and ears are exposed to an environment like this, even now, the chances of you making it are very small. Okay. And one of the essential parts that I was advised by my mentor was to get rid of your friends and family members. The moment I did that, success just became very natural, because first of all, you save a lot of time, and second, there is nobody to tell you you can't do something. There always have to be an external force to tell you you can't do something. And when you remove those people out of your life, suddenly you have a thought, you have an inspiration, and there is no one to push it down. You just allow it to come out, and it converts into action, and things just happen. So it's a very magical experience for you to see, and you can experiment this. If you cut out all the naysayers, all the people who don't believe in you, suddenly you will act based on your instinct, and you will accomplish things, and with that accomplishment will come self-confidence, self-esteem, and trust in yourself, trust in your abilities. With that, you will have power in your communication, and you will flourish. So environment is an extremely, extremely big aspect of self-confidence and self-esteem. Now we're going to talk about how do you structure communication, because really self-confidence and self-esteem reflects in communication. So when you are communicating with someone, you have to understand what their needs, wants, desires, and pain points are. What are their concerns? What are their needs, And if you have that understanding, then you have leverage in the conversation. And from there, all you have to do is structure the conversation around their needs, their desires, and their wants, and tie what you want with their wants and needs, and then you have a business deal. So preparation is key. Before any business meeting, you want to prepare. Even after accomplishing a lot of things, if you're not prepared, you're not going to feel confident, because you're not going to have power. Information is power. One of the most valuable commodities on this planet is, one thing is time, but the other thing is information. Okay, information. If you have information about what someone wants and desires and needs, like specific things that they want, all you got to do is find that thing, deliver, and charge a fee for it. That's all that the business is. So this is called the leverage of information. You have to have an understanding of the person that you're going to be dealing with, and some of that will come just from introspection. You can just think, what does this person want from this conversation? What's their primary driver of emotion? What is it they want from me? What is it that they want? If you understand that, then you can just supply that, and you have leverage. Imagine you're a landlord, right? You own a house, and everybody knows people need a house to live in. And if you have a whole, and it's a very valuable house that other people value, right? And you have a whole series of tenants coming to view that house, you will see suddenly you feel confident, because you have leverage and power. You have something that people value. You have something that other people want. So you must dedicate yourself to understanding who are the people you're dealing with and what do they want. If you understand what do they want and need, and have a very deep understanding of that, then you can position yourself with the thing that they want, and what you will have is leverage. And you will speak from a standpoint of giving. And when you speak from a standpoint of giving, that has a basis of power in it. There is power in giving, and you can receive some in exchange, right? So That's what the whole business conversation is based on. Before that, you need to remove everybody who is toxic in your environment, anybody who puts doubts in your mind. And then what you want to do is, all the things that you were said as a child, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do, you gotta challenge those limiting beliefs, because they are your limiting beliefs. People have achieved big things in life and they have done it. You know that. They have done it. The biggest mistake that some of the people in these environments make is that they think that people who achieved big things, it happened because of luck or talent. And it was a one-off scenario. The people who achieved success were no different than you and me. They were no different than you and me. They were just normal people who just went out and did it. And they ended up doing it, and they ended up building self-esteem and self-confidence. No one was born in it. We all, someplace, have been born in environments that were not supportive of us, that didn't believe in us, that suppressed us, that suppressed our communication, that shut down our communication, that criticized the environment, that criticized what we wrote on a piece of paper. They made us feel bad about it. They made us feel shameful about it. And they shut us down. And it has such an impact on a human potential. And it should be criminal to discourage someone, and criticize someone. And, I remember the time from this time where the video was shot, my brother went on and on and on about criticizing me. You don't do this right, you don't do that right, you don't wear clothes right, you don't have the right hair, you don't know how to count chips, over and over and over and over. And what that did was just shoved me in my head so much that I even doubted every word I said. So you got to cut out those people. The moment I cut him out, the moment I'm not speaking to him, I wanted to start this YouTube channel since 4 years. I haven't been able to do it. And I just did it. The moment I did that, you got to draw that boundary. You just have to do it. There will be a price to pay that price, and get rid of the people who put you down, and let yourself flower. I'll talk to you soon.